order. Honorable members of City Council, in accordance with the Virginia Beach City Code 2-21, and by the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Virginia Beach, I hereby call for a special formal session meeting of the Beach City Council, Virginia Beach City Council, Tuesday, July 21st, 2020, 6 p.m., City Council Chambers, Building 1, City Hall, second floor, 2401 Courthouse Drive. The special formal session will follow a regularly scheduled council workshop, which starts at 2 p.m. The purpose of the special formal session is for the City Council to consider the items listed on the published agenda. Additionally, the City Council will introduce the new City Manager, Patrick Donahue, and recognize the retiring acting City Manager, Tom Leahy. Citizens may comment after in person or virtually. If you would like to speak in person, please call the City Clerk's office at 757-385-4303 to sign up. Be advised there is a limited seating available in City Council chambers to ensure social distancing as recommended by the CDC. If you wish to make comments virtually on a public hearing or planning item, please follow the two-step process provided below. Register for WebEx at http://vbgov.webex.com or register with the City Clerk by calling 757-485-4303 or by email to abbarnes@vbgov.com prior to 5:30 on July 21st, 2020. This special formal session will broadcast on cable, but at www.vbgov.com and Facebook Live. Citizens are encouraged to submit their comments to the City Council prior to the special meeting via email at citycouncil@vbgov.com. Bobby Dyer. Okay. So I read that, and and everybody is present?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will move for a motion to approve the informal and formal sessions of July 14, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, ready for the call.
Councilmember Abbott. Aye. Councilmember Berlucci.
Aye.
Councilmember Henley. Aye. Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Councilmember Moss.
Aye.
Councilmember Rouse.
Aye.
Councilmember Tower.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson.
Aye.
Councilmember Wooten.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wood.
Aye.
Mayor Dyer.
Aye.
By a vote of 11-0, you've approved the minutes of July 14th as submitted.
Okay, once again, the first order of business, I'd like to, on behalf of the council and the city of Virginia Beach and the city staff, welcome Patrick Donahue as our new city manager. Best of luck, and we can't tell you how much forward we're looking to working with you. Thank you, and welcome, Patrick, and, you know, congratulations, and welcome to you and your family. Yeah. Would you like to, say some words, perhaps?
To the mayor, members of council, and also to the public that is here and attending, and also the public that's watching on television. It's truly been a very overwhelming and tremendously positive welcome and congratulations from the entire city staff, from all the elected offices, and also all of the appointed officials as well. So we're truly humbled, me and my family, we're truly humbled to be here and really look forward to building our life here and helping to make Virginia Beach, which is already, I feel, the best place to live, more of the best place to live in the entire country as it relates to working and raising a family. So thank you for having me here, and I really look forward to a bright future with all of you.
Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you. Mr. Jones, you have a request.
Yes, if I may, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I would like to move that a resolution be added to the agenda, and I would like to read it into the record. Whereas Acting City Manager Thomas M. Leahy moved to Virginia Beach in 1966, graduated from Kellam High School, and earned a bachelor's and a master's degree in chemical engineering from the University of Virginia and a master's of public administration from Old Dominion University. And whereas prior to joining the city in 1980, Tom worked as a private sector engineer in the research and development of reverse osmosis desalting membranes and the purification of water for the electronics industry, and he has more than 4 decades of experience in the public water and wastewater industry. Whereas Tom initially served as the city's water resources manager, and he was project manager for the $150 million 76-mile pipeline project to transfer up to 60 million gallons of water per day from Lake Gaston. And whereas prior to the Lake Gaston project, the city had no reliable water supply and frequently restricted water use, causing the city council to declare a moratorium on the building of most new homes and businesses. And whereas the project took 15 years and was the subject of multiple lawsuits and challenges through it all, Tom's expertise, tireless work, and tenacity enabled the city to persevere and succeed. And whereas the pipeline allowed the moratorium to be lifted, resulting in more than 14,000 new homes and businesses being connected to the city's water system, and enabling the development of town center and the construction of a larger upscale hotels at the ocean front. And whereas the Lake Gaston pipeline is considered by many to be the city's biggest, most ambitious, and most significant accomplishment in its more than 50-year history. And whereas during the 40-plus year tenure with the city, Tom has served as the city's Director of Public Utilities and later as Deputy City Manager, overseeing the departments of Public Works, Public Utilities, Communications and Information Technology, Management Services, and Finance. And whereas the City Council appointed Tom as Acting City Manager in September 2019, and he ably has led the city since then, including during the current COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the city-owned Lake Gaston Pump Station is located on a tributary called Pea Hill Creek in Brunswick County, and it is an attractive building, often mistaken from the outside as being a large home with 2 chimneys and landscaping. And whereas it is the sense of the City Council that naming the pump station for Mr. Leahy would be a fitting tribute, an acknowledgement of all of his impressive and important contributions to our city and the safety and economic vitality of its residents and businesses. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Virginia Beach, Virginia, that the pump station located at 210 Beddingfield Way, Valentines, Virginia, is hereby named and shall henceforth be known as the Thomas M. Leahy Municipal Pump Station. And 2, that the new city manager shall cause appropriate signage to be installed at the site in conformance with the county zoning ordinance or signage regulations. So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Wood?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Add it to the agenda.
We're to add it to the agenda.
Right.
Okay. Okay, we have a vote on this?
Sure. Councilmember Abbott?
Aye.
Councilmember Bellucci?
Aye.
Councilmember Henley?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Moss?
Aye.
Councilmember Rouse?
Aye.
Councilmember Tower?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Wooten?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wood?
Aye.
Mayor Dyer?
Aye.
By a vote of 11-0, this item has been added to the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move immediate adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, could we call for the vote?
Yes, that's fine. Here.
Okay,
Public
okay.
comment.
Anybody in the public would like to comment on Mr. Leahy?
Can I say something?
Oh, you sure can.
I just want to personally thank Tom Leahy for all the work he has done. I mean, committed to our city for over 40 years. And as a young councilman that came on, and really understanding what it took to get Lake Gaskin project done. It truly serves as an inspiration for me in serving on this council, and also to think bold, but also get things done. And Tom, I can't thank you enough for all the work and commitment you've had for our community. Thank you so much.
Good. Anybody else? Okay.
Mr. Leahy.
Oh, no, can you come up to the podium, please? You're going to be on TV.
And, Mr. Parham, if you'll please state your name for the record, please.
Ralph M. Parham II.
Thank you.
Welcome, Ralph.
Thank you. I want to thank Mr. Leahy for bringing great water to this city. Without you and the godfather there working hard, and Miss Henley working real hard bringing that water to this city, we'll be a dead destination.
Amen.
And we thank you for that.
Thank you. And for the record, the Godfather is the other white-haired guy over there. Okay, sir.
Sir, if you'll state your name for the record, please.
My name is Clarence
Yes.
Warnstaff. I live in
Yes,
Virginia
sir.
Beach, Virginia. Mayor, members of council, it's an honor for me to be here today as you recognize Mr. Leahy. I was privileged to serve as Director of Public Utilities for 20 years during those very difficult years. And the whole city was blessed to have this man running that program. Every day, every single day for 15 years, Tom came in, and his responsibility was execute the project. And for those that have been here many years, those were not easy years for this city. Many challenges. Tom was dedicated, he was focused, and he was not going to let the other parties win out. So the honor you've given him today is most deserved. I also want to say that in those years as well, the city staff and Mr. Leahy had a partnership, a strong partnership with this Virginia Beach City Council. You showed commitment and courage through some very difficult years. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize Councilman Lewis Jones. He was mayor in 1982. Had to get my number. He was mayor when the city council authorized the city staff to proceed, and he was on the city council at the ribbon cutting 15 years later, almost to the day. So I want to thank Mr. Leahy for his service to public utilities. I want to thank your council for your service to your cities. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Leahy, if you can go in front of the podium there,
Probably
you're
need
going to
to-
probably be there for a little while. Oh, another speaker?
And we need to take the vote too, Mayor.
Okay.
Keep them honest, man.
Why does-
Hey, welcome.
Hey,
Sir, if you'll
good
state your
evening,
name
Mayor,
for the
good evening,
record.
City Council, and I just wanted to come up and say to Mr. Leahy, what a wonderful job you did, especially through everything we just went through. You know, with the coronavirus, something in the water, you know, May 31st, I just want to say thank you for all your help. And by the name, Clarence Neely from Minority Business Council, unfortunately Sheila couldn't be here because her brother was killed in an accident. And so I'm here, and I wanted to welcome our new city manager, looking forward to working with you. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Yes, please. Carl.
I didn't expect this, Tom, but I just wanted to say thank you, because when I was president of the NAACP, Tom was always supportive. I didn't expect to come here and know you were retiring and everything, but I wanted to say thank you because he was always supportive. I think you and Georgia went to school or something. You guys had a relationship, and he was very supportive. And I want to say congratulations and thank you for all that you've done for the city and your service, Tom, because you have been a real friend, particularly with the NAACP when I was serving as president. So I want to say thank you again.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else?
Sir, if you'll state your name for the record.
Aubrey Jones, and I would like to thank you for your work. Not familiar with you, but thank you for what you're doing. New city manager. I'm with Black Lives Matter 757, and we look forward to working with you. Hopefully have some conversations in the very near future, and hopefully we'll be put on the agenda in the very near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we have, okay, no other speakers? Okay, we're ready for the vote? Okay, can we call the vote and then,
Councilmember Abbott?
Aye.
Councilmember Bellucci?
Aye.
Councilmember Henley? Councilmember Jones? Councilmember Moss?
Aye.
Councilmember Rouse?
Aye.
Councilmember Tower?
With the greatest pleasure, aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Wooten?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wood?
Aye.
Mayor Dyer?
aye.
By a vote of 11 to 0, you have adopted the resolution naming the Lake Gaston Pump Station as the Thomas M. Leahy Municipal Pump Station.
You know, Tom, you have a special presentation from Mr. Jones and Miss Abbott coming.
Mr. Warnstedt's going to join with me also here. Tom, this is a much prettier version of what I read up there at the podium. And I know Clarence and council, everybody joins with me in saying to you, it's much deserved, more than much deserved, just greatly deserved. And you're a real hero to the city of Virginia Beach. I keep saying that over the years to everybody that I ever meet about you, because you are. And I want to tell you that we all appreciate you. You've done a great job as for the city of Virginia Beach, and congratulations on your career.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Jessica Abbott has something a little special for you, Tom.
So I'm going to take this opportunity to thank you personally, because when I got on council, I was the only freshman council member, and your mentorship and your feedback and your openness and all of the things I've learned from you, I'm going to be very grateful for. This is a special gift made just for you. We couldn't build you a pump station, but we thought we would give you a topographical map of Lake Gaston with
And
the
it's
ordinance.
right there.
And it's right there.
That's where it is.
Thank you. I'd give you a hug, but COVID, so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Tom, you're going to have to stand there for a while. Mr. Wood has another little surprise for us.
So one more resolution. Tom, we don't need to vote on this one. We've already signed it. But whereas Thomas M. Leahy was named acting city manager in 2019 and previously led as deputy city manager and director of public utilities, serving the city of Virginia Beach since 1980, whereas he earned a Master of Public Administration from Old Dominion University and both a Bachelor and Master of Science in Chemical Engineering from the University of Virginia, whereas he is a licensed professional engineer as well as a member of the National Society of Professional Engineers, American Desalting Association, former treasurer and vice president, and the Association of Metropolitan Water Agencies, where he served as their representative on 2 federal advisory committees, the National Water Quality Monitoring Council and the Advisory Committee on Water Information. Whereas acting city manager, Tom selflessly stepped in to lead the city through unprecedented challenges. Whereas as deputy city manager, Tom oversaw the departments of Public Works, Public Utilities, Information Technology, Budget and Management Services, and Finance. Whereas as director of Public Utilities, Tom oversaw over 400 employees providing water supply and sanitary sewer collection services for 450,000 people. Whereas he served as a water resources manager and project manager for the Lake Gaston project, overseeing all phases of the 15-year, $150 million project for the 76-mile pipeline. Whereas for his work on the Lake Gaston pipeline, Tom earned the City Manager's Award in 1989 and 1998. Whereas he was awarded for his dedication to the city through an Employee Hall of Fame induction in 2009, whereas he has been recognized in numerous publications, including the Journal of the American Water Works Association, American City and County, and U.S. Department of the Interior Office of Water Research and Technology. Whereas throughout his career, Tom contributed to academia by presenting at conferences on desalinization. Whereas under Tom's leadership, public utilities and city infrastructure has had tremendous growth and developments, whereas his work and accomplishments will continue to progress and have a lasting impact on the city. Whereas on this day, we honor a man who deserves our deepest gratitude, respect, and friendship for all that he has done for each of us and for the city of Virginia Beach. Now therefore be resolved that the city of Virginia Beach hereby expresses its appreciation to Thomas M. Leahy for his outstanding contributions to our city and extends its congratulations on the occasion of his retirement from government service. I know it's a little bit early, but it's signed by all of us. I think the mayor's going to bring that down to you as well.
Yeah, and I'll bring that down to him in a
And
minute.
you've got something else for him, too.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, I told you you're going to be here for a while. You've been here for 40 years. Another 4 minutes will do you good. But let me just say what an honor it was to work with you. And when I stepped in as mayor, I got to see the role of a city manager in a totally different, outlook. A 60-hour week is a light week, and the time and effort that is needed to put in. But let me just say this as a point of pride. Virginia Beach has been regarded as the third best run city in this nation. And it's been because of folks like you and the magnificent team that we all work with. Not only the leadership from this dais, but the 7,500 people that you have been involved in supervision over the years have helped us and taken us to the level that Virginia Beach is indeed the most livable city, the safest city, the best schools, the best infrastructure, the best public works, the best public utilities, the best employees that any city could aspire to. So on behalf of a grateful city, I would like to present you with your 40-year pin. And I think it's a tribute to the city that we have so many people that spend extended time working in our great city. And you are just a beacon of what the city is about. You have made Virginia Beach a great city and VB strong. Thank you and God bless you. Now you get to give a speech. Okay. Oh, man, thank you.
Oh, well, I did not expect this until I saw an email from my sister, and then I called Pam, and she said, well, there's something in the newspaper. I guess I should have read the special announcement for the meeting a little more carefully. But, they say that behind every successful man is a totally amazed woman. But I will say, I don't know about that, but there's a very amazing woman that has been with me, my wife Pam, and she's been with me every step of the way. She still says she's waiting for me to spend the first hurricane at home, with her, but and I will be this time. So, I owe this city so much. I got here in 1966 and went to Kellam High School for 5 years. They had 8th grade then. It was an interesting social experiment, trust me. But anyway, so that's what we call Princess Anne Middle now, but it was it's old Kellam, but it was new Kellam when I went there. It was only a few years old. And they gave me an education. We didn't have AP courses. We didn't have specialized schools. I just went through the curriculum, and when I got out, I got into a couple really great colleges. I got accepted to a couple great colleges. Chose one. I think I chose the best one, Councilman Rouse.
Oh,
But I will say that one of the primary reasons was it was 3 hours from Charlottesville to Virginia Beach, and it was 5 to 6 hours from Blacksburg, and that had a whole lot to do with the selection, because I'd come back to the beach, and every time I'd cross the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel, I just feel like energized. I was home again. So I moved in. I remember my first day in 1980 at Building 2. The carpet and the paint in Building 2 was still brand new. I didn't think I'd be here for 40 years. I don't think back when you're 27, you can even think 40 years into the future. But it seems like it's moved, it seems like it's passed in the blink of an eye. And probably I want to think that, the common thread has been the employees. Every step of the way, from the Water Resources Division to the director, to the Public Utilities Director, to the Deputy City Manager and the acting, I just kept meeting more and more employees doing more and more things for the city. And they really had one common thread, and it was their dedication, their loyalty to the city, not just on the regular working hours, but their willingness to rise to just about any challenge, any emergency that we've had. They always just stepped right up, and I was always just amazed, privileged to, even though I wasn't home during those emergencies, privileged to be there in Building 30 with so many people and know there were so many people out there keeping the city running, keeping the public safe, helping them recover. And that's probably what made this go so quickly, just working with everybody. I guess the last thing I'd say is on the Lake Gaston project, I do get a lot of credit for that, even though I told when we started, I said it would take 7 years and took 15. So get a lot of credit for bringing a project in twice over its schedule period. But I'll also say, though, that I get a lot of credit, but it was a team effort from top to bottom with the leadership, with the support. When I was doing that, I knew I was fortunate to be working on a project that was the most important to the city at the time. And the reason I felt so fortunate, because all around me there were plenty of other people that could have come in and done a good job as well. They would have done it differently, some things better, some things worse, but with the support that this council and the staff and the public gave for that project, it would have got done. I also would have to say that I've always thought that the city council was the responsible party that made sure it happened. You had to ride through 7 election cycles, and in just about every one of those, people that were challenging the incumbents for the seats made the wisdom of that project the focal point of that challenge. And you stuck through that, election after election after election. That kind of support and that I got from you, that's what helped keep me going. I know you've got some challenges in the future. If you get together the way you got together behind Lake Gaston, you'll whip every one of them. Flood control, COVID-19, the social issues, you will overcome them if you get together and put the kind of support that you gave me back then. So I thought I was going to make it through this. Anyway, I want to thank you. It's been a fantastic 40 years. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here in the city. Pam and I talked about it. We couldn't think of a better place to go, even though we could pretty much go anywhere we wanted. We said we're already where we want to be, and really what is the greatest city in the world. So thank you so much.
On behalf of a grateful city, thank you. God bless you and your wife. Nothing but health and happiness going forward. Okay, at this point, we're going to move forward to a public comment on the referendum district-based voting for 7 city council district representatives.
The first speaker is Barbara Messner, and after Ms. Messner is Reed Greenham.
Welcome.
Good evening, and welcome to the new city manager. It's kind of hard to follow all this. Okay, on the district voting, I just think it's, which item is that called?
Public comment, ma'am.
The first one.
Referendum on district voting
Right,
for the
okay.
7
I just
city
wanted
council district representatives.
Okay, yeah, I think this should have been brought up a long time ago. I don't know why the person that brought it up waited 4 years, because we do have a problem, and, you know, the district voting would really help. And there are issues, because some of the people who were not living in their districts, you know, which it's against the state code to run in a district where you don't live. And it's Mr. Nygaard, Mr. Tango, Conrad. There were challenges for Bellucci, Miss Owens, and Joel McDonald, and there were never any penalties. We need penalties when people violate code, and we need to make voting easier for everyone. So I'm for it. I don't understand why it took so long. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yep, yeah.
I'd like to state for the record there are no challenges to my residency in the Rose Hall District.
Okay, thank you.
The next speaker is Reed Greenham, which I don't see in the audience. Next speaker, Ann Crenshaw. And after Ms. Crenshaw is Martha Mcleese.
Welcome, Ann.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. Nice to meet you, City Manager. Best of luck to you, Tom, in your retirement. I'm here as the president of a local business consortium, Virginia Beach Vision, and I'm speaking on behalf of our membership. What we would like to say is how the public elects its representatives is one of the most important decisions that our citizens can make. It's not something to be taken lightly. It's not a simple A or B decision. There are various iterations of systems throughout not just our local region, but throughout the U.S. Before we ask the voters if they want change, we need to provide them with the reason for the proposed change and allow for public dialogue. We allow for public dialogue on stormwater. We allow for public dialogue on the comp plan. We allow for public dialogue on the resort strategic plan. We have just appointed a committee to study the privatization of the Convention Bureau. It is my understanding, and I wasn't aware till this week, that there is a lawsuit pending in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia. I am an attorney, and I pulled the docket on that particular case. And reference was made last week that this was set for trial. Well, it's not set for trial. It is set for a motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction. And that motion has been filed by the City of Virginia Beach. And to say that the matter is ripe for trial is a total misrepresentation. What we would like to offer up is the opportunity to work with City Council, and we don't have a dog in this fight, one way or another, but we would like to offer up the opportunity, if Council desires, to schedule public meetings and discussion of changes to the electoral process that will include the stakeholders, representatives of the entire city population, and aware of the changing demographics, not something to be done in about 100 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Ms. Abbott? Oh, yeah, Mark?
Just for the record, while there is a motion to dismiss that has been filed and is pending, the matter is set for trial and is expected to commence trial, if that motion is not granted, on October 6th of this year.
Well, I stand corrected, and I apologize for that, since there's been nothing in the newspaper or reports by City Council as to this lawsuit. I looked it up on the docket.
Okay, thank you very much, Ann.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Martha Mcleese, and after Ms. Mcleese is Robert Pezzini.
Welcome, Martha.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of council. It's a pleasure to be before you. As you know, I don't stand up here very often, and I don't intend to start today. But I wanted to address you as a lifelong resident of Virginia Beach, and like you heard from Tom Leahy, there's nowhere I'd rather be, and there's nowhere I plan to be other than in Virginia Beach. My family's from here. I too can echo a bit of what Ann Crenshaw was just sharing with you, in that I have been through the redistricting twice now in the city. I'm old enough to have gone through the first two iterations. I worked on redistricting plans when I was working with the city of Suffolk a number of years ago. So I've had the occasion to look at the details. We did some research through Weldon Cooper Center, et cetera. And what I want to tell you is it is not a simple issue. It is not a straightforward issue. There are a lot of different iterations and consequences that need to be considered. There's nothing more important than the way we elect our representatives. And it has to be done thoughtfully, and we have to make sure that when we're asked to vote on it in a referendum, as the case will be or could be, that the citizens have the opportunity to understand the details, the nuances, what the current system is, and it was testified last week, not testified, but mentioned last week during the discussion. We had a couple of council members say, we have citizens come up to us all the time, don't know if they're supposed to be voting or not voting, and what they're supposed to be voting for, and they get confused, and et cetera. Well, it's hard to ask those same voters to go vote on a referendum in 2 months, so that when they're confused about what they're doing today, much less what the options are for tomorrow. So I would just implore the council to defer putting anything on the ballot and asking for a final decision from the voters, but give us an opportunity to become educated, to understand what the alternatives are, what the options are, and make an informed choice on behalf of the voters and ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Robert Pezzini. And then after Mr. Pezzini is Bill Dale.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Duhaney, welcome. And Mr. Leahy, congratulations. City members of council, the last time I appeared before you, it was to speak on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce in support of the Sports Center. From a business perspective and from a community perspective, we saw and continue to see great benefit to our city and to our community through that project. I come to you this evening on behalf of our over 2,000 members of the Hampton Roads Chamber and the leadership of the Virginia Beach Division, of which I chair. We simply ask that this voter referendum before you be deferred until an appropriate study and citizen input can be facilitated. A policy decision of this magnitude warrants sufficient objective study, public information forums, and citizen input that cannot be accomplished before the November election. We also have significant concerns with the ward system in general from a policy and business perspective. In analyzing the ward system, there are several studies out there, and I won't cite all these studies. However, there's a common theme found throughout the studies, and that is simply that a ward system results in higher levels of government spending, higher levels of taxation, and higher levels of debt. As the debate evolves surrounding this issue, these numbers and these statistics hopefully will be given careful consideration. It is important not to encourage a system that, when studied, increases taxation, spending, and debt. We respectfully ask that you defer the voter referendum, but more importantly, carefully consider the implications on the business community of the city of Virginia Beach. We have an incredible system right now that I've been involved with for about 10 years. I think it's highly effective. I'm proud of it. I'm proud to be a member of this community. Can we get better? Certainly. Do we need a referendum to do it? Let the study reveal what the study reveals. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Bill Dale. And after Mr. Dale is Catherine Schoenberg.
Mayor Dyer, members of council, welcome, Mr. Duhaney. My name is Bill Dale. I reside in the Kempsville section of Virginia Beach. While I'm not opposed to a referendum, I am opposed to the timing of this referendum. The critical questions facing the city at this time, the people in this city, revolve around COVID. Probably the primary question is, will our schools be open? And if they do, will our children be safe? Will they be protected? As well as the faculty and people who work in those schools. That's captivating the discussion and probably will for the next several weeks. Connected with that are the large numbers of small businesses that are on the rocks. Some have closed. Some are wondering what will happen if social distancing and limiting of peoples and establishments, if they're going to be able to survive if that continues for any length of time. We see protests regularly occurring in the streets, many for good reasons, creating real pressure on our police force as questions arise about tactics and the way that they work, and this has got to be putting more stress on people who are in stressful positions already. To expect that citizens will have the time, have the interest to be able to look at this issue, namely the question of electing citizens to the city council, I think is probably unwise. Remember, voting starts in probably about 65 days. September 15th is when voting can begin in the city, at least early voting can, so that window is extremely short. Wisdom would appear to dictate that deferring this at least until the next election cycle, and if it's going to be put on the agenda, do so in January or February, so that's a lengthy enough time to be able to ascertain the best move and the best ways to proceed forward. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Catherine Schoonover. And then after Ms. Schoonover is Rabbi Israel Zoberman.
Welcome.
Hi. Hope you're all well. I'm here this evening to speak in opposition to changing our current hybrid system of representation to a ward system. My opposition is based on several points of concern. One, that this issue is being pushed through a mere weeks before one of the most contentious elections of our time. The voters are focused on other much more time-sensitive matters, and we should take time to consider such a drastic and sweeping change. We are not focused on more pressing concerns. I assume that we would all like to consider such a monumental change carefully and are not trying to push this through while the voters are distracted. I suggest that we postpone this at the very least so the voters can give this issue the attention that it deserves. 2, I'm concerned that this will increase the divisions in our city. Virginia Beach is a diverse, big, small city. We have a farming community, a beach community, an urban community, a suburban community, rural community, etc. For example, our urban community in Town Center has interests and goals that are entirely different from our farming community in Pungo. As local government has a much greater impact on the everyday lives of our citizens, it is critical that our representatives share the concerns of all of the citizens in our diverse community, as opposed to only focusing on a handful of neighborhoods on one small faction who will be the only ones they have to answer to. Number 3, this brings me to my third point. This division of our city into competing factions with significantly fewer shared concerns will increase the backroom deals, cronyism, and corruption that we have been trying to avoid. Pet projects that would never normally receive funding will be exchanged for someone else's pet project, as the only person with the luxury of focusing on the city at large will be the mayor. The city is already burdened with unfunded mandates from the state and federal governments, and this will only increase spending, taxes, and debt. There will be an additional burden on our already struggling citizens trying to recover and rebuild due to this pandemic. 4, my final point of concern, beyond all of the obvious concerns already addressed, is the political aspect of this. There are extremist factions who have long been unhappy that their ideas and candidates have not received broad support from the citizens of Virginia Beach and are therefore rarely elected to public office. They believe that dividing the city into micro-districts will make it easier for their extremist candidates to get elected, and they think that it will be less expensive, which is most definitely not the case, and require less work to convince a smaller group with fewer diverse goals to support their candidates, thereby forcing their unpopular views on the public who have routinely rejected them. I think that we should allow the voters to decide for themselves who the representatives will be, as opposed to forcing them to accept extremist views and candidates who are not reflective of our diverse city, particularly as it will result in those with less power and influence being ignored. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rabbi Israel Zoberman. I don't see him in attendance. Samuel Small. And after Mr. Small is Ralph Parham.
Thank you very much for having me today, Council. I want to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Samuel Small. I'm a student who graduated from Kempsville High School back in 2014. I graduated with honors from Virginia Commonwealth University in 2018. And I am currently just got accepted to the University of Baltimore, so I'll be heading there to start my law degree August 24th. So I'm very happy to be here. But unfortunately, people forget the history of Virginia Beach. They forget where we come from and why we had that large voting system. And luckily, I've been a student of Dr. Barry Graham at Kempsville High School. He's now retired. And I'm also a student of Dr. Doherty, who was the head of civil rights at Virginia Commonwealth University. So I apologize if I go over my time, but I'm going to go quickly. But I think it's very important for us to discuss this research today, to really understand the ramifications of this vote and why we must go to district voting. Because, let's start with the premise of this conversation, that large system here is rooted in segregation. So let me begin, where we start at 1954 in Brown v. Board number 1. So we get the decision in Brown v. Board number 1, where we rule that segregation in the public school system is unconstitutional, okay? So now we go back to the courts and we ask, how are we going to enforce this decision? So then we get Brown v. Board decision number 2. And unfortunately, in Brown v. 2, we get something called deliberate speed, all right? So now the segregationists who are in favor of deliberate speed have a broad term to go ahead and slowly integrate schools, or not integrate schools at all. And that's what happened. So we move forward, and I'm going quickly here because I don't have that much time. So this is roughly, we get the Brown v. Board 2, 1954, 1955, okay? The NAACP immediately petitions the School Board of Norfolk and Princeton County to go ahead and integrate. We all know where Princeton County came from. You know, we incorporated it in Virginia Beach. So what do? Is they refuse. Even though they have multiple signatures in the petition, it's validated by the highest court in the land, they refuse integration. So the NAACP goes back to the drawing board. We go through years of litigation, roughly between 1956 and 1959. Keep in mind, some schools were closed during this period. So during the school closure and the onslaught of civil rights legislation, what do we see in the surrounding communities of Norfolk? We see white flight, because the white community was leaving the cities of Norfolk, the major industrial areas, and they were coming to suburbs like Virginia Beach. And we can prove this statistically, okay? So you look at the data, and in 1963, roughly a year before the Civil Rights Act is passed, and we know it's going to get passed, you know, you just like the Second CARES Act. It's going to happen. We don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen, okay? So in that time period, we have Virginia Beach's population in the 60s doubles, roughly 172,000 residents, an increase of about a 95%, a increase of white population about 95%. So 95% of that 170,000 was white. And what we see also is we see the decrease of the white population from Norfolk, Portsmouth, and other cities at this time. And the question we asked ourselves is, well, why were they coming here? Why are all the white people coming to Virginia Beach? And the answer is,
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Was to avoid desegregation. So the at-large system, in fact, is tied to segregation. And a vote for the vote against the at-large system is a vote for segregation. Thank you.
The next speaker is Ralph Parham. Is that the way you remember it? And after Mr. Parham is Virginia Wasserberg.
Thank you, sir. Hello, Council, Mayor, Mr. Leahy, thank you for your service. City Manager, we got work to do.
Yes, sir.
I'm here to talk about the referendum. Growing up in this city, I'm sick of referendums. Referendums just hold back the process. Referendums has hold back the process of this city moving forward with the train system. 2 referendums. We need this body to vote up or down. When you work for the government, United States government, and you want to get a raise, the Congress votes up or down. I want you to vote on this election system, a fully at-large election system, that all these great council people that got voted in to go around and meet your constituents around this great city we live in. We don't need districting. We need you to get out and meet the whole system and let these great people vote you up or down. And we respect you to vote up or down on this system. No more referendums. Our city can't afford referendums anymore. With the train, the referendum came. We won. Then another referendum came. We lost. We want this body to vote up or down on decisions, just like every other body in the nation does. Okay? Thank you.
The next speaker is Virginia Wasserberg. And after Ms. Wasserberg is Ginger Capps. No, 'cause he's way back.
Welcome, Virginia.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to our new city manager, and congratulations, Mr. Leahy. I'm in favor of the people having a voice. There are hundreds of people that are out in our city weekly who are crying to have a voice. And that's what this public comment is about tonight, because this body does not get to decide how this government operates. This body gets to decide if the people get to have a voice on how this government operates. You see, 244 years ago, the Declaration of Independence said that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. The consent of the governed. We are the governed. We deserve a voice. We deserve to do that. And Abraham Lincoln said 157 years ago that this government is of the people, by the people, for the people, and it shall not perish from the earth. Give us our voice. That's what this is about. A lot of people are confused right now, and they think that you guys get to decide on whether or not we have a ward system or an at-large system, and that's untrue. It's not your choice. It's a choice of the General Assembly, and it's our choice to tell you what we think. And that's what's important here, is for you to give us that choice, for you to give us that voice. And that's what this is about. So if you vote against this, you're voting against the people having a voice. You're voting against the people being able to decide how they're governed. A lot of people are confused. We can have the robust debate on the merits, Mr. Bellucci, as you said last week, on the merits of the at-large or the merits of the district. We can have that robust debate. And I encourage this council to encourage the community to do that, and all of you that are running for re-election to have that debate, but give us the choice. So all I want is a choice. I was in high school when the last choice was given. I'm 40 years old this year. We deserve a choice. The people deserve a voice. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Ginger Capps. And after Ms. Capps is Carl Wright.
Welcome, Ginger.
Hey, thank you. All right, let's see. Good evening, Mayor Dyer and members of council. Mr. Duhaney, welcome to Virginia Beach. We are so happy you are here. It's good to see all of you again. I'm here tonight to speak against putting ward system governance on the ballot, even as a referendum for the upcoming November election. I was able to think of a plethora of reasons, but as I've only 3 minutes, I will stick with one. Earlier today, while watching you all in workshop, discuss the toll COVID-19 continues to take on our city, Councilman Moss said something that resonates with me even now and could not be more true. Forgive me if I'm not exact in quoting you, Councilman, but you said something to this effect. I don't see how children are going to be back in the classroom in September. Based on the science, I just don't see it. Two major components that affect our economy are childcare and education, getting kids back in school. We have to figure this out. Mayor Dyer and members of council, isn't this exactly what members of our school board are consumed with? Yet somehow, I'm assuming you all will consult with the school board in the next 2 weeks before you vote to put this on the November ballot, unless the plan is to completely ignore them as your tandem governing body. How do you justify adding ward system governance to their already overflowing plate? It isn't only your way of governance that would be completely altered, but the school boards as well. As a parent of 2 boys enrolled in Virginia Beach schools, along with many other parents and teachers, we want and deserve to hear how ward system governance will affect public education in Virginia Beach. The school board's opinion is just as important as yours, if not more so, on this critical matter. In closing, now is not the time. Why the rush? Your plate is just as full as theirs, with far more pressing matters than ward system governance. Ward system governance has not been a priority of this collective council body in decades. I respectfully ask it remain this way for the foreseeable future. And Mayor Dyer, when you were addressing Mr. Leahy, you did mention that we are the 3rd best run city in the nation. I cannot help but believe that our at-large system is a tremendous part of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carl Wright, and then the next speaker will be via WebEx, Sean Matero.
Welcome, Carl.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council folk. Welcome to our city. They call it the great city of Virginia Beach. You know, this thing about the at-large system and the system, the true at-large system and the district system, this has been going on for a long time. You know, and I come here tonight, Mr. Mayor and council folks, we've been fighting this fight a long time. And I want to say to these young people that's here, I'm so proud of you guys, I don't know what in the world to do. Because this mess has got to be cleaned up. I don't care whether you get a at-large system, a ward system, but this hybrid system that we have in place here is a mess. We know that only a certain group of people can afford to run in it. We know that it shut certain folks out. We know those that have run, I've been around long enough and I've done enough on-the-ground boot work to understand that this system here just isn't working. I got to commend these young people. They've done their homework. They know. The community knows. The only problem I have with it tonight is that the people that have been in this fight for such a long time, I don't see a lot of them here. I don't think they got the message. The issue here is, I thank God because I didn't come down here for this particularly, but this came up on the agenda. And I want to say, we're in a mess with this hybrid system. This isn't a district system. We've been down this road before. It's in the true at-large system. It's an opportunity for those that can afford it to hold office and continue to stay in office. But these young folk, I don't think they're going to stand for it no more. And I'll tell you, I'm not going to sit here and sail you down the drain, but I'm looking to be with the winners. And right now, unless we change this system, we're going to all be losers. We have got to learn to work with everyone. You know, I had my opportunity to get out there and do my thing out there, and a lot of folks have run, they've been here a long time. We've got to listen. You know, they're out there protesting. They energized me. I was at home, I was relaxing. I hadn't been down here in a long time. And I come down here and I got more excited. I'm like, okay, and I'm listening to you. We've got to change this system. The system has to change. Now, how we do it, city council folk, is up to you. You all are the leaders. but we have to change the system. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
The next speakers are via WebEx. The first one is Sean Montero, and then after Mr. Montero is going to be Stacy Shiflett. Mr. Montero, if you'll pause for 3 seconds before beginning your comments.
Good evening. My name is Sean Montero, and I live in the Centerville District. First off, let me say thanks to Mr. Leahy for your distinguished service for the past 40 years, and to Mr. Duhaney, welcome to our great city. Members of the Virginia Beach City Council, thanks for giving me time to speak. I'm emphatically in favor of a referendum on how we conduct elections for district seats in our city on the November ballot. In 2017, after living here 2 years previous, visiting from Northern Virginia as a high schooler and moving around the world for over 20 years, my wife and I decided that Virginia Beach is where we wanted to raise our children and live out our lives. We believe it is a community-oriented city, burgeoning with opportunity for all residents. The strength of this city is its diversity, not only in its economy and geography, but also in its residents. These are values that our family, and I would suspect others in this community, cherish. It is through this strength that our city attracts talent, economic opportunity, and civic tranquility. The way we elect our representatives is a reflection of who we are as a community. The current at-large system, specifically for district seats, misses the mark of creating a responsive, inclusive, and vibrantly diverse city of opportunity. It misses the mark in 2 ways. First, it dilutes district representation. Currently, specific geographically diverse areas of our city can become beholden to the whims of constituents that do not have to deal with daily consequences of poor representation. Despite the relative size of our city, I assure you that the concerns of Bayside and Beach constituents differ vastly from those that reside in Kempsville and Centerville. It is important that representatives act in good faith for the betterment of the entire community, but give voice and remain accountable to those that they represent. Secondly, it's a vestige of a bygone era that disenfranchised minorities. Now, Virginia Beach, I would believe in this day and age of dismantling relics of systemic racism, we would want to be a leader in shaking off those shackles. It holds our citizens and our city back to remain wed to any system used to mute certain members of the community. Our first steps to creating a more vibrant, inclusive, and diverse community is by taking the method by which we elect your positions back to the people. It has been 24 years since a referendum was posed to the Virginia Beach voters. In a generation, it is time once again to see if refinement in our governance is deserved. In this information age, appropriate debate and deliberation can occur very easily, even in the face of a roiling pandemic. Tonight's meeting and the means by which I am communicating right now is a testament to that fact. I encourage the council to support putting the district election method up for referendum, allowing the citizens to debate.
The next speaker is via WebEx is Stacy Shiflett, and after Ms. Shiflett is Mary Glass. Ms. Shiflett, if you'll pause 3 seconds before beginning your comments. You want to come back to me? Ms. Shiflett, if you would go ahead and begin your comments, please.
Yes, good evening, Mayor Dyer. Shiflett, I'm the Executive Director of the Virginia Beach Restaurant Association. First and foremost, we would like to wish Mr. Leahy the very best in retirement, and also thank you so much for your service. We would also like to give a very big welcome to Mr. Duhaney. We are truly glad that you're here with us. You will find in your packet a letter from the Virginia Beach Restaurant Association requesting a deferral on this referendum. How we choose our elected officials is very complex. It is one which could not only look at a ward system, but also an abundance of hybrid type models. We respectfully request that you defer this issue so that further study and discussion can be completed. Thank you for your time.
The next speaker via WebEx is Mary Glass, and after Ms. Glass will be Stephen Johnston via WebEx. Ms. Glass, if you'll pause 3 seconds before beginning your comments. She's not on. Mr. Johnston, if you'd like to begin your comments.
Can you hear me? Hello, thank you all for the opportunity to speak. Appreciate the WebEx. My son works for the Virginia Beach EMT as a rescue volunteer. He was exposed to the virus, and we're still under quarantine at our house. I support the referendum for several reasons. The basic reason is this is the beginning of the conversation. A lot of people are speaking as if it was the end. It's not. It's the beginning of the conversation. It still has to go to the state, it has to be approved by city council, but at least we now know where everybody stands and we can start talking about it. The other reason I support this referendum is because it holds the city council and the school board more accountable to the people within their district. And there's no better example of that than what's happening in the Virginia Beach schools. Our schools closed in March, and the school board took the responsible decision to say, hey, what about these children who get free lunch and reduced lunches? How are they going to get a nutritious meal every day? And they set up a system for food distribution throughout the city. The error that they made is there are no food distribution spots south of Dam Neck Road. The entire county down in Princess Anne does not have one food distribution center. So the children of Princess Anne County have to drive all the way up to Corporate Landing Middle School to get their breakfast and lunch and drive all the way back. If we had a district system, the district representative, both on city council and the school board, would be beholden to the people of that district and saying, why aren't our children being fed like the children in Bayside and the children at Lynn Haven? We need to look at the system, but this is just the beginning of the conversation. I think we need to have this conversation. It's a serious conversation we need to do. And thank you all for your time. Thank you.
That's all the speakers, sir.
Okay, thank you all for your participation and input. Really appreciate it on this subject. Okay, next we go to a public hearing on the non-exclusive franchise Kitty Hawk Wind LLC. Any speakers?
Yes, the first speaker is Barbara Messner, and after Ms. Messner is Steve Romine.
Welcome back.
Good evening. Okay, first I want to bring up due process. And I appreciate a lot of these comments. Some of these people only show up at budget and election time, and they've run before. But as far as due process, these special meetings, they need to be challenged. And, you know, I've always spoken against referendums. And, you know, I'm still against them because they're non-binding and a lot of money goes into the advertising. And as Mr. Bellucci.
Okay, could you please stick to the assigned subject,
okay.
please?
All right, I am. But it ties in with the outside law firms and, okay, these non-exclusive franchise, there's no bids. And William Mullins is one of the outside law firms that has a direct conflict. You know, if you scroll through the 270 pages, and these are the 20 years we've been hiring William Mullins. They're also the law firm for Gold Key. So there's a big issue with, you know, the law firms, and that needs to be brought in. You know, I wasn't for the Lake Gaston because it just caused major uncontrolled growth. nothing personal, but I can't even imagine how
Could
much
you
it
please
costs.
stick to the item in hand?
I'm talking about due process, and, you know, I don't think all these meetings, you know, are justified. That's
Thank
it.
you.
I opposed the project because of conflicts.
The next speaker is Steve Roma, I'm sorry.
Welcome, Steve.
Good evening, Mayor Dyer, members of City Council. For the record, my name's Steve Romine, local attorney. I represent Avangrid Renewables and Kitty Hawk Wind LLC. I want to thank the city for working with us on this franchise agreement. The details are in your package before you. I won't go into them. The franchise agreement is needed to connect underground and overhead transmission lines that are coming in from offshore to two substations that Avangrid has under option with the city. The details of those are in the document itself. Again, want to thank the city. Thank you for your support. It is non-exclusive, and I'll stand by for questions.
Any questions for Mr. Romine? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's all the speakers.
Okay, moving on. I want to remind everyone that the City Council speaker policy that allows certain representative of groups to speak out for 10 minutes applies only to planning items. All other speakers, whether speaking individually or on behalf of a group, will have 3 minutes to speak. Speakers are reminded that comments during the formal portion of the meeting must be limited to this subject of the item that is being considered by the council at the time you are called. When speakers are called on each item, the clerk will call for those individuals who have signed up to speak. After those who have signed up to speak have spoken, the chair will ask if there are any other persons who wish to speak on the item at hand. Those speakers will be allowed to speak and will be asked to give their name, address, and telephone number for the clerk to record. We have several items with only one speaker signed up. As such, the city clerk will call the speaker and identify each item they have registered on. The speaker will receive 3 minutes to comment on each item. Again, the speaker must limit his or her comments to the subject matter of the items they have signed up to address. Finally, I call on all speakers and all persons in the chamber to be civil in their discussion and decorum. Whatever views you hold and wish to express, the City Council wants to hear from you and to ensure that all viewpoints and all persons are respected. The best way to do this is for all of us to strive for civility and respect. Yes, Mr. Moss.
Just before we start, I just want to double check. I don't have to declare an abstention or a disclosure for the public hearing that I won't be able to vote on later. Is that correct?
No, sir, you just need to refrain from participation.
All right, just want to make sure.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moss.
So the first speaker that has signed up on several items is Barbara Messner. Ms. Messner, the first item is item number 1, ordinance authorize the city manager execute a lease with the Virginia Museum of Contemporary Art, MoCA.
Right. Okay, yeah, this lease, and the reason I'm not totally prepared, it's like it takes a long time to go through 270 pages, which only come out Friday. And there are other things going on. I attended the meeting. Speaking of civility, at the planning meeting, there were people screaming about Ms. Henley, and I was extremely offended. So I'm not attacking anyone. I'm just talking about conflicts. Okay, this is a 1-year lease, $1 a year for 5 years. That's only $5. I oppose all of these leasing city land, you know, for $1 a year. MoCA was the Virginia Beach Arts Center. It used to be at the ocean front, along with the dome. And that keeps expanding, and it keeps getting taxpayer subsidies, and that's the reason our taxes are so high. So I'm very much opposed to it, and all of these subsidies and economic development are the reason we have $3 billion debts, and we need tax relief, you know, not more deals. Thank you.
The next item, Ms. Master, that you signed up to speak on is ordinance to amend city code section regarding increased length and weight limit of a tether for dogs.
Right. When I scroll through, I kind of missed that one, but, you know, I do hope somebody will discuss this because, you know, there's a major problem with, you know, dogs at large and dogs attacking and killing other dogs and even killing people. And it says increase the length of the tether. You know, it used to be 6 foot, but these expandable leashes, I just want to make sure that that isn't the case. And, you know, if one of the council members could discuss that, because I think we have more dogs than kids. Some of the parks are open for dogs, but not for kids. Okay, and as far B, increase the value threshold for petit larceny. If I'm not mistaken, is this the one, Mr. Moss, that you discussed doubling the taxes to go to the courthouse? If not, you know, I'd appreciate if you discuss that and not wait till I sit down, which you usually do. And 3, terminology for concealed weapons. You know, I signed up for that thinking maybe some of the BCDL people would speak. I don't know how slingshots being changed, you know, to a sling bow is necessary. But, you know, I was hoping that they would come because they don't come often enough. They're too busy with, you know, other lawsuits. And 3, this one, I asked the city manager secretary if I could have a copy of the full agenda because I didn't have time to copy it and bring it. But when I read this, amending the city code chapter 23 on illicit sexual activity, some of those changes are very, very troubling. And I'd like to know if all the council members have read it, you know, before you vote on it. I think that should definitely be deferred and everyone needs to read that. Thank you.
Okay, I open a public,
Go ahead.
I open a public hearing on planning.
And so we have another speaker who's signed up on numerous items as well. Jay Boone. Ms. Boone. She signed up on planning 6, 7, 8, 9, and 9.
Okay. Okay, welcome.
So the first item is planning 6, Rashay Reed, regarding a family daycare home in the Kempsville.
My statements are pretty general. I have pleaded for months now for our local government to care more about Black lives in this community. It has been.
Excuse me, ma'am, you have to speak specific, as we explained in the instructions, to the item, which is a planning item.
Right, and it's about a business, right?
No, it's about a land use situation. You can only speak to the specific item.
And I'm trying to, but I just started my statement. You haven't even let me go to even know if it's specifically to what you're talking about.
I'm sorry, we're having a hard time hearing
I said
you
it's
two.
not. You don't even know if what I'm saying to even say that it's not specific to what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, could you speak up then, please?
So you're saying that I have to speak specifically to
You have to
that?
speak to the planning item that has been public, in the public agenda. And the item is on Rai Leah Reed Jacquin versus Castro, v. Castro, a conditional use permit for a family daycare home at 1675 Dillon Drive in Kempsville.
Right, and so can I continue?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. I have pleaded for months now for our local government to care more about Black lives in this community. It has been proven to fall on deaf ears. So in an attempt to show I am not one-sided, I will use my time to address the other places you can improve the city that I
Ma'am,
love.
with due respect, are you speaking on the planning item?
Yes, I am. Thank you. While I am excited for the possibility of new businesses being able to open their doors in this time like this, I'm astounded at the measures of non-measures that are being taken to make sure that the community at large is protected. We have seen nationally how the numbers have risen because of local and federal
No,
decisions.
with due respect, ma'am, you have to speak specifically to the planning item at hand. Yeah,
Right, and it's about a
those are the
business.
instructions that I read.
It's about a business, right?
Yeah, but
Asking
you
for
have to
continue-
speak specifically to this business.
Right, and it's a daycare?
Yes.
So wouldn't it be imperative that we make sure that the COVID outbreak does not flourish in a business that handles children?
Okay,
Okay, so-
specifically to this business.
I mean specifically to any business that opens and operates in Virginia Beach. Can I finish?
Okay, you finish up, please.
Thank you. Non-measures that are being taken to make sure that the community at large is protected. We have seen nationally how the numbers have risen because of local and federal decision-making that valued businesses over citizens. I fear Hampton Roads is no different. Time and time again, you have made decisions to move forward on expansion.
Thank you very much.
The next item, Ms. Boone,
You
is...
took all of my time, okay.
That was 3 minutes. The next item that you have...
Yes.
To be fair.
Yes.
To the young lady speaking, she was interrupted quite a few times.
Yeah,
If she could finish her.
but Mr. Rouse, we have a rule that we read that,
I understand that, and I understand the rules to be perfectly clear. I just know she was interrupted 3 times. I would do it for any speaker who was interrupted to get their full 3 minutes. But you are the presiding.
No, Mr. Rouse, we have rules that we apply to everybody, with due respect. But once again, there's other items she is signed up for.
The next item, Ms. Boone is signed up to speak on is Lorna Donate, conditional use permit for a community boat dock at 1421 and 1423 Blue Heron Road in Lynn Haven District.
Okay, I will continue. Outside of you telling us to wear masks into businesses and to those businesses to enforce the customers wearing masks, you are throwing your hands to any other culpability. We need leadership.
With due respect, ma'am, I don't want to be hard, but once again, we have a rule about speaking specific to an item. We do have open mic night on the first Tuesday of the month where people can come in and speak on an item. And that, according to the rules, which I have read previously, please abide by them.
So if a business opens and operates into the city, outside of it opening and operating, there are other things that are factors, right? There are factors as far as, especially in this pandemic, about spreading a disease. It's about the travel, it's about the traffic, it's about all of those things. All of those things are imperative to a business in running.
But we're talking about a specific item for a vote.
This is a dock in my district for 2 families to use. It's not a business.
But I think we ought to ask the city attorney,
So-
because what we think and what a court might think might not be the same.
Okay.
I think you can provide some latitude as long as she's talking about concerns related to the application as a
Okay.
business generally, whether it's specific to the specific location or not. If it's applicable to a business that would be
Okay.
conducted there, I think you can allow.
Okay, I will give you some latitude.
But a dock between 2 families is not a business.
Yes, sir, that is true.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, please continue.
Local decision-making that valued businesses over citizens. I fear Hampton Roads is no different. Time and time again, you have made decisions to move forward on expansion and profits without preparing the proper measures. An example would be your procedures for short-term rentals. While we may be quick to sign off on the dotted line for expansion, there's a lack of initiative to be proactive and make sure that these decisions do not negatively affect the surrounding communities. Outside of you telling us to wear masks into businesses and those businesses to enforce the customers wear a mask, you are throwing your hands up at any other culpability. We need leadership. Finding businesses to make up for the inaction is appalling. If you have ever worked in the community and even more so in retail, you know that you can't even stop shoplifters, and now in a health pandemic, you expect us to stop people from possibly spreading a virus. Leadership is not just shaking hands and kissing babies, not before COVID and definitely not after. We need proactive decision-making. We need innovation. This area needs more collaboration, and it needs to care about the citizens, the ones that live and work and pay taxes in your salaries, those citizens. Right now, it really seems like you are going through the motions to bide your time until November. If you love this area as much as you swore you did when you were elected, then show it. If not, then do us both a favor and find another job. Continue.
Thank you.
Before we proceed, I would, because I'm just trying to make sure I'm fair to everyone, but there's a lot of that didn't fit in here. And I, in all fairness to both the applicant, the public, and us, but I need some guidance from the city attorney about where the line is. I don't want to suppress anyone speak, but I want to allow the mayor to maintain the decorum and the rules of the place. So where are the side road delineators on this legal discussion here?
I'm sorry, can I answer that?
No, I'm talking to city attorney,
Okay.
please. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor and Mr. Moss, the line to draw is very difficult. It's a First Amendment issue. Your rules anticipate that the discussion will in some way relate to the item before the body. It is for the presiding officer to determine when and where the line is crossed, but as long as there is some touch point between the comments that are being made and the application before you, then I would urge you to conclude that the speech is within bounds. If it is completely unrelated to the application, would I suggest that you then stop the speaker from speaking?
Okay.
Thank you.
The next item,
Please.
The
Let's
next
maintain
item Ms.
order.
Boone has registered to speak on is the application of Linda Addison regarding a home-based wildlife rehabilitation in the Centerville District.
Where is our business? Right now, right now, as a consumer, I don't see any attempts to warn us about the outbreaks that have happened in the area. All the businesses that have had outbreaks have been because the community is warning each other. Why is that? In these times, it cannot be business as usual. If you can't think of new ways to help the area, then look towards governments and places that have systems in place already. New York is one. New York has a grading system for their businesses, A, B, C, D, and fail. We need this system. For every business going forward, everyone can start at an A. But for any business that has had an outbreak, then they need an asterisk put by their grade and an explanation and date of when their previous health violation happened. What this does is simple: help the community. It will give the citizens the knowledge of any health risk and give us the power to make a choice. Right now, the city is taking the free will of the people because of you denying the knowledge to protect ourselves and our families. This small thing can help many in the community. Continue.
Thank you.
The next item is the application of the City of Virginia Beach, and this is for a request for indefinite deferral regarding setbacks for in-ground pools adjacent to the Atlantic Ocean.
What's the next one? Ma'am, what's the next one?
That's it. That's all at this point.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else ready for a consent agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move for approval on the consent agenda under ordinances. Item G1, ordinance to authorize the city manager to execute a lease for up to 5 years with Virginia Museum of Contemporary Art, MoCA, for city-owned property, 2200 Parks Avenue. 2, ordinance to amend the city code section A 5-501, ray increase length and weight limit of tether for dogs. B 17-5, 23-31, 23-32, ray increase value threshold for petty larceny. C 38-1, ray terminology for concealed weapons. Replace the term slingshot with sling bow and correct a typographical error. Item 3, ordinance to amend City Code Chapter 23, ray illicit sexual activity.
Call a public hearing on planning.
Under planning, item H6, Raiche, Lene Reed, and Joaquin V. Castro for a conditional use permit, ray family daycare home at 1674 Dillon Drive in the Kempsville District. Item 7, Lorna C. Donatone, QPRT, Scott and Catherine Boren for a conditional use permit, Ray Community Boat Dock at 1421 and 1423 Blue Heron Road in the Lynn Haven District. Item 8, Linda M. Addison for a conditional use permit, Ray Home Base Wildlife Rehabilitation at 1717 Dancers Court in the Centerville District. Item 9, City of Virginia Beach ordinance to amend Section 201 of the city zoning ordinance, raise setbacks for in-ground pools adjacent to the Atlantic Ocean, noting that that's an indefinite deferral. So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second. Now, can we have a motion and a second? Any other discussion? Open for the vote.
Councilmember Abbott? Aye. Councilmember Berluci?
Aye.
Councilmember Henley? Aye. Councilmember Jones? Aye. Councilmember Moss?
Aye.
Councilmember Rouse?
Aye.
Councilmember Tower?
Aye. Can I make one comment, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
To clear the record up on ordinance G2, the amendments to the city code that were in there that Ms. Messner made reference to. Those are all, as I understand it, changes to state law that all we are doing is, as we are required to do, conforming our law to the state law. So,
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Wooten?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wood?
Aye.
Mayor Dyer?
Aye.
By a vote of 11 to 0, you have approved the consent agenda as read by Vice Mayor Wood.
Okay, planning item number 1 is Melissa and Paul Venable, Kevin and Elizabeth Baum, William Warnock for a change of nonconformity expansion, second story, and add new roof to an existing duplex at 213 and 215A 69th Street, District 4, Lynn Haven.
The applicant, Mr. Mayor, the applicant had registered via WebEx, but unfortunately, he is not logged in, but we have 2 speakers. Do we want to go ahead and just call the speakers?
Yeah, this was going to be on consent. So.
Okay. The first speaker is Barbara Messner, and the next speaker is Jay Boone. Venable, B-E-N.
Good evening.
Paul.
I appreciate,
I'm sorry, the applicant is here. I
Okay.
apologize.
Okay. All right.
I have that he was going to be on WebEx.
okay.
Okay,
If you'd like to
thank you,
make
Ms.
comments.
Messner. We'll get you up.
I'm sorry, Mr. Venable, if you'd like to make comments, I apologize.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Paul Venable. I am the owner of 213 69th Street, and I'm representing the application that we have. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, any questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Okay, I guess we're okay.
The next speaker is Barbara Messner, and after Ms. Messner is Jay Boone.
Good evening. Another reason I had trouble being prepared is I attended the planning meeting, and I fully expected some of council to be there to hear all the input on short-term rentals and the problems in the neighborhood. That wasn't live streamed for anyone, which I think is another issue.
Yeah, if you can stay focused on this
I
particular
am. I
item.
am. This is on codes and short-term rentals. This is non-conforming. You said change of non-conforming to expand a second story and add a new roof to existing duplex, correct?
Correct.
Okay. We have no idea whether or not this is being expanded for a short-term rental. And the city codes that were created in 2012, you keep allowing people to change. It says right here, non-conforming. I oppose, people just coming up and changing the code. I don't think it should be amended. And that's my...
Okay, thank
and like
you.
I said, I wish y'all would have paid attention to, the meeting last night.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Jay Boone.
I'll use my time for the open session so the mayor won't interrupt me.
Okay. No other speakers?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval.
Second.
Wait.
Okay,
Councilmember Abbott? Aye. Councilmember Berluci?
Aye.
Councilmember Henley? Aye. Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Moss?
Aye.
Councilmember Rouse?
Aye.
Councilmember Tower?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Wooten?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wood?
Aye.
Mayor Dyer?
aye.
By a vote of 11 to 0, you've approved the application of Melissa and Paul Venable.
Okay, item number 2, Church of the Ascension, the Roman Catholic Diocese of Richmond, for a modification of conditions, built a one-story administrative office at 4853 Princess Anne Road, District 2, Kempsville.
The applicant's representative is here, Billy Garrington. Okay, questions only.
Any questions? Okay.
Then first, the next speaker is Barbara Messner.
I'm gonna pass.
Okay, and then the next speaker is Jay Boone. Okay.
Okay.
So no speakers then.
Thank you. Okay, item number 3.
We need to-
Wait a minute, I'm sorry.
Take a
Okay.
vote.
Oh, good gracious, yeah. Long ago. Okay, do we have a motion?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion on it? Okay, call for it.
Councilmember Abbott? Aye. Councilmember Berluci?
Aye.
Councilmember Henley? Aye. Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Moss?
Aye.
Councilmember Rouse? Councilmember Tower?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Wooten? Aye. Vice Mayor Wood?
Aye.
Mayor Dyer?
Aye.
By a vote of 11 to 0, we approve the application of Church of the Ascension, the Roman Catholic Diocese of Richmond.
Okay, moving on to item number 3, Vogue Lashes and Spa, Loskin Road LLC for conditional use permit, Ray Tattoo Parlor at 9933 Laskin Road, District 6, Beach.
The applicant is here, Isla Kalikin. I'm sorry, I'm maybe saying your, okay. Just questions only. And then we have Ms. Messner and Ms. Boone. Ms.
Okay.
Messner? Then after Ms. Messner is Ms. Boone.
Okay, is this 3 or 4?
3.
3, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is another conditional use permit. And for tattoo parlors are all over the city. You know, during this pandemic, you know, tattoos, that's being really close to people. I think there's too many. I don't think it's family-oriented. They're very close to neighborhoods. And the vape shops, we don't really know. You know, a lot of people have, as far as the pandemic, we shouldn't be approving these things when so many of them are closed right now. But the vape stores and were never closed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. J. Boone? Thank you.
She's waiting for open
Yes,
session.
ma'am. So no other speakers.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Tower, we have a motion?
Yes, so move approval.
Second.
Yeah, motion and a second. Any discussion? We're open for the vote.
Councilmember Abbott? Aye. Councilmember Berluci?
Aye.
Councilmember Henley?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Moss?
Aye.
Councilmember Rouse?
Aye.
Councilmember Tower?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Wooten?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wood?
Aye.
Mayor Dyer?
Aye.
By a vote of 11 to 0, you approve the application of Vogue Lashes and Spa for a conditional use permit.
Okay, item number 4. Okay, is Incredible Tattoo LLC at Dam Neck Crossing LLC for conditional use permit, Ray Tattoo Parlor at 1630 General Booth Boulevard, Suite 111, District 7, Princess Anne.
Eddie Burdon's representing the applicant.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Tom, congratulations. Welcome, Mr. City Manager. I believe this was on consent, so I'll just stand by for questions.
Any questions? Okay.
The next speaker is Barbara Messner. And after Ms. Messner is Jay Boone.
Okay, like I said, this is Princess Anne, that's Miss Henley's district, and I just want it duly noted to everyone that I asked people to speak and explain some of the things that were on the agenda, because most people don't read it all, and I think it's really bad that y'all aren't, you know, discussing the pros and cons, you're just voting for these things.
Yeah, please stick to the item, Ms.
I am sticking to the items, I'm saying it's not properly discussed, y'all just vote for them. And this, you know, General Booth Boulevard is my district. Mr. Tower has never responded to one single email. And there's already tattoo parlors there. How many How many tattoo parlors do we need in the city? So I'm in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Jay Boone. Ms. Jay Boone? Thank you. Sorry, so that's all the speakers?
Okay, Princess Anne?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay,
Councilmember Abbott?
Aye.
Councilmember Berluci?
Aye.
Councilmember Henley?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Moss?
Aye.
Councilmember Rouse?
Aye.
Councilmember Tower?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Wooten?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wood?
Aye.
Mayor Dyer?
aye.
By a vote of 11 to 0, you approve the application of Incredible Tattoo LLC.
Okay, and then the final item is going to be on 5, and that's Emmanuel B. Planton Metro Holdings LLC for a conditional use permit, Ray Automotive Repair Garage at 5044 Cleveland Street, District 4, Bayside.
The applicant is participating via WebEx, I believe. Emmanuel Platten. Is there an Emmanuel Platten in the audience? So they're telling me he didn't log in. The next speaker for via WebEx on this item is Gary Arnett. You see him? Is there a Gary Arnett in the audience? And not WebEx either, so he didn't log in either. So the next speaker is Barbara Messner, and after Ms. Messner would be Ms. Jay Boone. Ms. Messner?
I'm waiting for item 6, but I don't think she plans to speak anymore tonight, so.
6 has already been approved, ma'am. We have you signed up for number 5.
Okay, so 6 is already approved?
Would you like to, yes, but.
Yes, that was approved on consent.
This is
consent.
for number 5. Emmanuel Platten.
Speak on 6, but I thought it was in sequence.
You didn't sign up for 6, but would you like to speak on number 5?
No,
Okay.
I thought I signed up for 6.
Ms. J. Boone? Okay, so there's no speakers.
Okay, and item number 5 is Bayside. Mr. Jones.
Move approval, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Are you ready for the vote, Mayor?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Councilmember Abbott? Aye. Councilmember Berluci?
Aye.
Councilmember Henley?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Moss?
Aye.
Councilmember Rouse? Councilmember Tower?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Wooten?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wood?
Aye.
Mayor Dyer?
Aye.
By a vote of 11 to 0, you have approved the application of Emmanuel B. Platten.
Okay, at this point, is there any unfinished business?
There's one item, if I could.
Yes.
This gets back, because we're talked about reapportionment or this single district voting tonight. But this is the report from 1990 that this council did. It's an official report, and if there's no objection, I'd like the city clerk to put this in part of the packet for our next meeting next week, so people who look can actually see that this is the only documented report there is on reapportionment, if there's no objection.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rouse.
Can I get a copy, Mr. Duhaney, of the Virginia Tech study Mr. Moss mentioned earlier on housing? I'd like to read up on that. Thank you.
Okay, that'd be good. Okay, any new business, Mr. Tower?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just note for council that I've distributed to you for consideration at our next meeting, resolution reaffirming our opposition to offshore drilling and seismic testing, and would invite any of you who care to join in sponsoring this to let me know, and we'll make sure it happens. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. 2 points. The body requested a meeting which we have set up on June 28th with our delegation. And what we're going to ask is that if you have any particular items that you would like to talk with the delegation about, specific to their going to a session in August, we would appreciate it. And, to the folks in the gallery, if I could explain that every time, before a meeting, when people speak, we do have a format of speaking and certain rules that we try to go by. And certainly we respect First Amendment and listening to people, but we establish up front that, you know, in fairness to the people who have applications out here, especially planning items, that we really just try to keep it focused on the, you know, the item at hand. And be assured that we do have an open mic session on the first Friday. Believe me, we're not trying to be heavy-handed, but we have other forums that, you know, we will listen to. Just wanted to say thank you. Appreciate it.